views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the commentators, guests, and host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the policy or the views held by Tobago Updates or this network. Tobago Updates or this network cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
All right, good evening and welcome to another edition of Vox Populi with yours truly, Barrington Skippy Thomas. I want to shoot from the hip tonight, and of course I want to deal with the issue of the celebrity silhouette. That name is the name of a magnificent vessel that visited our shores last Saturday, and as a result of visiting our shores, some tours were scheduled, and the maxi taxi operators were absent from the operations of the tours and so, and as a result, the tours were cancelled. I think the tourism division, led by Cashier Boris, said that they distributed 300 gift bags and so on the vessel, and as a result of that, they distributed 300 gift bags and so in an effort to mitigate it. But I've been listening from the officialdom, and the officialdom seems to be, sending a narrative. The officialdom seems to be sending a narrative that there's a lot of things wrong, and and the maxi taxi operator seems to be on the receiving end of all the chastisements that have to be offered. As a consequence of that, now I'm not saying this is the reason. I am not saying by any means whatsoever this is the reason. But I have heard, right? I have heard from the maxi taxi officials. And when I said heard, I read it all in the newspaper, and it's it in the public domain that they were not paid and that sort of thing. If, and I'm saying if, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but I'm saying if the maxi taxi operators may have withdrawn their services based on non-payments, then what the hell do we think maxi taxis work on? Piss and spit? It works on diesel. It works on manpower. It requires a driver and so. I mean, I'm casting no blame at anyone, but love the THA or hate the THA, when it comes to bread and butter issues, I will share my unadulterated and unapologetic views. And quite frankly, who vex loss? Who vex loss? I'm not saying those are the reasons. I'm only saying I heard those discussions taking place in the public domain. That is all I am saying, right? That I heard those discussions taking place in the public domain. In addition to that, let me say from the onset, I made no attempts whatsoever, absolutely none, to contact Miss Tashia Boris on this matter, because it is my considered view that considering calling or attempting to speak to Tashia Boris on this matter would only be engaging in an arrogance competition. And I have no intention of engaging in a competition for the arrogant with Miss Boris. Because I know who will win. I know who will win. So I have no intention of doing that. So I call her for no comments. I want no comments from her on this matter also. Right? Again, I don't say this. Who vex loss. I said what I had to say. I've heard, and by saying I've heard, I've read and, internalized from public information in the media and so, from the Maxi Association. But I've also heard on this matter from one Mr. Navarro. And it is Mr. Navarro's comments that have caused me some angst. Now, unfortunately, the public report on which I have to rely is that of Liz Williams on the 13th of November of 2023 in the Trinidad Express, the Daily Express. Now, I set my caveat by saying Liz Williams is as reliable as Sigoni's weather reports. But for whatever reason, best known to me, Liz Williams' report is the only report available. And so, in this instance, I don't trust Liz Williams as far as I could pelt her. I think that she's a journalist that have questions to answer. And this is fair comment. This is not a slander. And this is my personal and fair comment. Liz Williams is a journalist I don't trust, and a journalist on whose integrity I do not rely. But her report is the only report in the public domain about this, well, in printed form. And so for the purposes of the discussion, we'll have to hold our nose and use it, all right? And I want to read it. And I want you to take note of it. Because if these statements written by unreliable Liz Williams about this man Navarro are found to be true, then why is Navarro playing such a critical and I dare say leading role in the tourism industry in Tobago with specificity attached to the cruise ships? Because we have a tourist board here in Tobago, a tourist company. I can't remember what's the name, but I know we have a tourism organization here. Only recently, because of their efforts, and we must congratulate them. I don't know if we have the photograph, but if we do, I'll interrupt myself to have it up, where the Chief Secretary, arrogant Boris, and some others who I don't know, were seen in a photograph celebrating the award of Tobago being the third coveted and most sought after destination in the Caribbean. And that must be as a result of the work of that tourism organization. I know it's one of these private state companies, like how Trinidad have TIDCO. I think it's the Tobago version of what the tourism company in Trinidad would be. I think in Trinidad it's TIDCO, and it's the Tobago version. I don't know the name. I can't remember it now, and I must admit I wasted no time to research that. But it is what it is. So they do good work. They won awards, right? They won awards and they're doing well. And one must ask themselves the question, why then can't this organization be the Tobago version, right? Be the Tobago version of Navarro? Or why can't that be included? Recruiting, attracting, negotiating with, contracting upon and so with cruise liners and their agents. Why can't that board do that? Why do we need Navarro? And I'll tell you what is my concern when I ask the question, why do we need Navarro? I want to go to it. Again, I'm reading unreliable Liz Williams' article. Quote, the start of the Tobago's 2023-2024 cruise ship season hit a snag on Saturday. There was a lot of dancing at the Scarborough port, but in the midst of the dancing, pan music and moko jumbies, there was disappointment as pre-booked tours of 300 tourists were cancelled due to the non-arrival of maxi taxis. According to the Division of Tourism, when the celebrity silhouette docked at the port of Scarborough, it marked the start of a season with an impressive lineup of approximately 70 scheduled calls, bringing a total of 116,906 passengers to Tobago. The cancellation of tours, and for those of you who may be confused with that, that vessel did not bring 116,906. It was one of the vessels that brought persons here. And again, the good work by the tourism company here in Tobago was able to attract that thus far, right? That number thus far. So the cancellation of the tours comes even as drivers were informed since October in the inaugural arrival of the celebrity silhouette. Cruise line agents Charles Cavallo told the Express. Last week, we sent the taxi organization the list of, this is Charles Cavallo, according to Unreliable Liz Williams. Quote, last week, we sent the taxi organization the list of the tours we have for passengers who purchased their tours online. They have not yet even gone on the ship. Tobago was the second port of call in the itinerary. They only board the ship a few days ago, so 800 plus passengers have already purchased tours online before they joined the ship. So they were looking forward to participating, experiencing what they have purchased, because you know when you disappoint them, you know it's a rippling effect, because they have no trust in the cruise line anymore, Cavallo said. I think last week or the last time I spoke to you, but maybe last week or the week before, I did roll out to you what the rippling effect in negative experiences in the tourism sector can cause. Because what it causes is that the tourists will complain, and by complain, most of them will go to their solicitors, who will write the agency that they made their booking. They'll complain bitterly of the experience, you see, because while here in Tobago, it's an experience we are sharing with them, and this is the ship. While here in Tobago, it is an experience we are sharing with them. For them and the travel agency that they made their booking with, it is a contractual agreement, right? And so for us here in Tobago, we have to mitigate the bad experience. We have to try our best for the good experience to triumph and succeed and so. But for the individual tourists, individually or collectively, right? Individually or collectively, for them, it is a contractual agreement between themselves individually or collectively and the travel agency. So these things have rippling effect. The travel agency, of course, will attempt to mitigate by settling the issue, perhaps offering them a reduced cost on a next tour, or perhaps a free tour. How does the travel agency then mitigate its own self after having to invoke its insurance to deal with those expenses? It mitigates itself by preparing a report on the island. The report on the island is then published around the world. And by abracadabra, you find other travel agencies not prepared to offer Tobago as a place to sell, right? And so I accept that bad experiences can create rippling effects. I think, and I dealt with that with you last week or the week before, but I want to continue this. The Express learned some of the drivers were of the Adventist faith and therefore did not work on Saturdays, while others claimed they had mechanical problems. Now, I don't care if tourism bringing in $1 billion per tourist head, right? You see, when you take time, whether it's Cavallo or Williams, Liz Williams. But when you take time to attack a religion, sorry, a religious organization, when you take time to attack a doctrinal belief and you equate that with reasons for business losses and then to me, this issue is now bigger than tourism. This issue is now bigger than tourism. 6 days shall thou labor, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest. That is a religious doctrine across the world where billions of people subscribe to and engage in. And for that belief to be chastised because of a transactional and business fallout, I will raise my objection, because I think that we are going in a very, very, very dangerous direction. And I'll continue. Cavallo said that these are the same drivers who transport school children daily and are still owed monies from the Tobago House of Assembly. In Trinidad, however, said Cavallo, the transportation of tourists to and from the Port of Spain port is more organized. So he's criticizing and chastising our transportation organizational abilities and here on the island, right? In Trinidad, we will send the taxi organization in Trinidad a list of the tours that we have for a ship coming 2 days, 3 days, a week. And we give them updates as we get updates and the day before the ship arrives. We have a list of the driver's name, numbers of the buses. If Tom going on this tour, Harry going on this tour, John is going on this tour. So we know the bus. So we know which bus going on which tour. So when the buses come to the port, my staff can label the bus. Tour number 1, tour number 2, tour number 3. So when the passengers come off the ship, the passengers are there ready to go. All I have to do is look for the sign on the bus. But Tobago, it's like hell, he said. And we must internalize that, right? We must certainly internalize that. He said Tobago is like hell. Additionally, this Cavallo again, quote, additionally, we notice that even though the Maxis did not show up for work this morning, all of their independent taxis showed up to hassle the independent passengers. This is not a good sign for the island future cruise developments, Cavallo added. Now, what that means is, and I'll give you a perfect example. When we walk off the plane in Crown Point, so whether it's domestic or whether it's a foreign flight, there is a registered and legitimate taxi organization there. They're in their white shirt jacks and Wilson, I remember most of the guys, most of them might be dead, but they are new guys now. So you had, some names that Tobago will never forget, because those names, those names are like literally part of our historical antecedents and So you had men like Philip, Norris Daniel. There was one guy, he used to sell the lottery and So they are known to us and that sort of thing. We know that for years, since the airport was next to the almond tree. So you walk off and this guy would say, and then there's the schedule, there's the long schedule list there, and you look at the schedule. It happens in Piarco as well. And they tell you, taxi, taxi, taxi. You recognize them by their white shirt. They take you to, in fact, based on my memory, I think that they may have their own registered office there. They take you there. They do a brief administrative thing. The fees are settled according to the schedule. And then you dispatch yourself to where they have to take you and that sort of thing. Cavallo is saying that is something hassling passengers. So if passengers walk off of a cruise ship, because Cavallo was not there certainly, but I was there. When A&R Robinson turned the sod for that port, I was there. I was coming from Boys Brigade band practice that Friday evening. And after he turned the sod, the spade which he used to turn the sod, he gave it to me. J.D. Elder took it from me. I don't know what he did with it, but Robinson didn't give him. Robinson turned and he gave it to me. I was there. And among the speeches given, right? Among the speeches given is that the taxi operators will generate income and foreign exchanges and that sort of thing. Cavallo is viewing that as a hassle, that arrangement to be a hassle upon passengers. But we'll get into that. And he gave some suggestion for improvement. Cavallo said the question now is whether more tours for the other cruise line to arrive would be cancelled. You would recall, and this Cavallo quote, you would recall that I had indicated to you last season that the Tobago Port Taxi Association is not ready for the increase in business, and that same association sent letters to the Tourism Division, which a copy was provided to me, indicating that they would like to go and promote their own services to the cruise line. How can a taxi association that wants to go directly to a cruise line to offer their services and they are not ready? You cannot go to promote your business and at the same time tell the cruise line that you cannot guarantee transportation for ship coming on a Saturday because the majority of your drivers are of a certain religion. But there is no solution to the present problem. End of quote, said Cavallo. He continued, quote, I made a suggestion to the Port Authority that the ferry that operates between Trinidad and Tobago is an essential service. I am making a suggestion that we bring some buses from Trinidad, and by buses, in Trinidadians say buses, they mean maxi taxi. We bring some buses from Trinidad the night before on the ferry to service the industry, so we would offer a backup and save the reputation of the island. The Celebrity Silhouette left Scarborough for its next port of call on Saturday around 6 p.m. The Maxi Taxi Association said it will hold a news conference on this matter. And so, take note of this also, right? That the Celebrity Silhouette left Scarborough for its next port of call. Now, Liz, this seems to me that this reporter was so concerned about maligning the taxi drivers here in Tobago, the maxi operators here in Tobago, that this reporter did not even take time to ask, well, where's the vessel going now? Where's the Celebrity Silhouette heading now? Where is it next? So that was so unimportant that if you're in journalism, you will know that clearly, so editor must have said, no, about this, where's the vessel going from Tobago? So that we could monitor this story. Having not asked the question, this reporter was left to only write, the Celebrity Silhouette left Scarborough for its next port of call, without even knowing what that next port of call. So clearly, this article was designed to malign the maxi operators here in Tobago and to certainly give support to this Cavallo from Trinidad. This is my interpretation of this article. But you will note that I said what my interpretations are, but you will note that I have shared no opinion on the issue, no opinion on the matter. Because I am minded of what Lord Nichols said in Reynolds. And Lord Nicholas said in Reynolds, there are 10 codes to satisfy responsible journalism. 1, seriousness of allegation. Serious allegation will be protected rather than trivial allegation. Nature of information which concern our public matter. Source of the information, to see if the source is true. Steps taken to verify the information. The status of the information is to verify the allegation if it's an old or new one. The urgency of the matter in the news domain, whether comments sought from claimant is whether to see the other side and so. So I intend to adhere to the 10 principles of Reynolds and speak to the parties involved. As I told you before, I will not be speaking to Miss Boris. I think speaking to Miss Boris is going to be a confrontation in arrogance, and I have no intention of doing that, right? None whatsoever. So those are what Miss Williams purport that Mr. Cavallo had to say. The process I wish to take is to speak to Cavallo first on this matter. Let's call him, please. All right, so no, put it on, put it on. I am in the business of transparency. Cavallo is not my friend. I don't know him. Put it on openly and so. I'm not Liz Williams, you know. Anything I do, you know, saying the public must know. I'm not Liz Williams and Aisha Wells, you know. Wellsy?
I please leave me a message or send me.
Hello?
For recording, you...
No, I... Try again, and if he's not there, allow me to leave a voice message, please.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Is this Mr. Cavallo?
I can hardly hear you.
Yes, is this Mr. Cavallo?
Hello.
You hearing me now? I have an idea also. Let's take a short break and we come back.
Full disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates. Real questions and honest conversations with the sole aim of keeping you fully in the know. Full disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Coastal. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the commentators, guest, and host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the policy or the views held by Tobago Updates or this network. Tobago Updates or this network cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
Your call has been forwarded.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Is this Mr. Cavallo?
Yes, speaking.
Mr. Cavallo, my name is Barrington Skippy Thomas, and you're live with me on Vox Populi show on the Tobago Updates station in Tobago.
Okay, we are doing a media release, so let's just finish that release and we'll send it out to everybody.
Well, can you just answer a few questions that may not
No,
be...
we put everything, we put in everything in a media release.
No, but are you going to put your concern about the Maxi drivers being 7-day Adventists in your release?
No, I never mentioned anything about 7 days Adventist in my release.
Well,
I
right.
never said it.
Well, that's so then you can't... So did you do an interview with Liz Williams?
Yes, and I did mention to her if they have certain religions that don't work on a weekend. But they never mentioned any specific religion.
But have you read her article after the interview?
I read it.
And you saw where she did quote you as referring to Adventists and so?
Yeah, but
But you're saying you did not do that?
Definitely not.
All right. The issue of bringing maxi taxis from Trinidad and so, what is that about? Considering the very strange relationship Tobago have always had with Trinidad, do you think that is the appropriate thing to do, to bring maxi taxi operators from Trinidad to conduct this?
We bring food and we bring all sorts of supplies from Trinidad and Tobago. It's an economy by Trinidad is an economy by itself.
Yeah, but
whatever we can do to help each other is essential.
But do you think that the call for bringing maxi operators from Trinidad assists the call for Tobago's autonomy, and so don't you see that as being like insulting to Tobagonians?
No, because we bring in maxi, we bring in PTSC from the PTSC fleet, and they don't normally fly the tourist trade.
All right, I don't want to be unkind to you, so I would want to wait on the release, right? Because, I mean, I want to put on record that I really respected the fact that you said there'll be a release, but you still took time to answer some questions with me, yes? But I want to ask you a final question, though. Is it your opinion that the operation is that decadent in Tobago that there is no way it can be fixed with the resources in Tobago, and there is need for resources from Trinidad?
Well, what created the issue is that the taxi operators know that we have a ship coming to Tobago on the 11th of November.
Yes.
And we're giving them the list of tours that we need and the number of transportation that we require. It is lack of response created this situation on Saturday. And we know that you cannot supply without solve all of our problems up front. We had 6 months of waste time without any cruise ships to put our house together. There's a lack of information is a problem for us.
But weren't there independent taxi operators? Again, I'm being very straightforward with you. I've never attached credibility to anything Liz Williams wrote or said. So I don't want to rely too much on what she said. In fact, that is why I called you. Having had reasons to quote her, I called you under Reynolds' principles to settle what she may have written, because some of those things are disturbing. But couldn't the independent operators fill the gap for the the contracted operators? In fact, I saw in the article she quoted you as saying that the independent operators were hassling the passengers.
Yeah, because in today's market for cruise ship that's selling tours, they don't want to go in a taxi. The independent taxis will apply a trade for the independent guests coming off the ship and want to do something on their own.
No, but
those days of using taxis to transport people.
When you
Waterfall and all these places, those days are gone.
But when you use the word hassle, what were in the contemplation of your mind? Because it would stand to reason based on your description that everyday persons are hassled at the airport, and so, because that is really the construct of the tourism environment here in Tobago. I mean, I must admit, I don't participate too much or pay attention to tourism anywhere else in the world. I just travel, do what I have to do, and so. But you come in and they say taxi, there's a structure, there's a system, and I imagine the guys at the port that you so lucidly describe as hassling are operating within a system, within a mechanism, within a setup, so to speak. So what were in your context, what were in your mind when you describe what they were doing as hassling? Because certainly what they were doing was what was traditional from since the port was built.
No, it's not a matter of that. It's not a matter of that. Here it is. You have independent taxi drivers coming out to work. Independent taxi drivers coming out to work. And my question was, are they not of that certain religion belief that they can come out to the work, but the maxi taxis cannot? That was the only question.
All right, Mr. Navarro, let us stop doing each other that. When you said certain religious belief, were you speaking out Hindus? Or thinking of...
I don't want to, again, I've never mentioned any.
No, but if you leave it loose, if you leave it loose, then you run the risk of having persons creating interpretations. So why not just settle what is the religious persuasion?
No, because but again, on another talk program, they say that Mr. Cobado is talking about the 7 days. I never spoke about the 7 days.
So you're speaking about Jehovah's Witnesses?
I have to be very careful of religion. Religion is a very ticklish word to be mentioned.
No, and I agree with you. And in fact, I think that while it's a ticklish word, I think that you may have provided the feather for the tickle by leaving it loose and fast to say religious persuasion on a Saturday, and it might have been more digestible if the religion in your mind was settled. So who are you speaking about? Baptists, Jehovah's Witnesses, Church of God?
I can't say.
My religion, Roman Catholic?
Wait for the release for me, please.
All right, I'll wait for the release. But I thank you. I really appreciate, and I'm saying I don't agree with you, but respectfully, I want to thank you for still engaging me. Yes? No.
No, you said you don't agree with me, but I didn't write the report that you're speaking about.
No, well, so you are saying that the report written by Liz Williams misquoted at best or misrepresented you?
Based on the information you asked me.
Yes. So you were misrepresented.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Navarro, I look forward to speaking to you after the release. Can you come in and sit with me on Wednesday night after the release, and let's have a conversation on this matter?
But coming back to the transportation.
Yes.
bringing transportation from Trinidad is not a negative to the island. The island needs help.
Well, have you
if I don't bring a cruise ship to Tobago, what happens? We don't have a cruise ship.
Well, that is the other thing. Is it that because you are bringing the...
So don't say by not bringing it back to track to help the situation. It's not help the
No,
situation.
that is the other thing. I don't know. Are you the exclusive cruise ship bringer to the island?
Yes.
And so it's on that basis you are not prepared to first work to develop the resources here and just carte blanche, be prepared to bring resources from Trinidad?
I've been in working to make for the last 39 going on 40 years, and that's what I've been doing.
Have you engaged the THA on the possibility of developing the resources here?
Well, the THA had a meeting, the chief secretary had a meeting last night, and he said that he's going to make all of the THA buses within the divisions come out to work on the day of the ship.
And are you still mindful that bringing buses from Trinidad is the solution?
It all depends on if all the, one of the questions was the payment of overtime for the drivers, and if the drivers will come out. You know, we still not guaranteed.
So Navarro, I await on the release. And after the release, we shall speak again. Yes, but thank you very much for taking my call at this late hour.
Okay.
Southern and late hour. You're most welcome. Bye-bye. You will note well, my friends, as I said. You will note well, as I said, Are we back on, guys? Sorry. Yeah, we are. You will note well, my friends, as I said. Right? You will note well, as I said, my friends. I have formed no opinion on this matter. I want us now to speak to, but let me, no, I will form my opinions after. Let me be fair to the program and the integrity of the program. But up until now, what he's saying is that Liz Williams misquoted him. And so you see, I'm not doing this. I didn't start doing talk show yesterday. It's since day before yesterday I was doing talk shows. And I understand this thing well. And you will all remember I started by saying I have a caveat that Liz Williams is as unreliable as Sigoni's weather reports. What? Yeah. I started by saying that. Now, the man said yes, a half hour, she right, eh? But you know, I should do call Liz in true, but to call Liz then would be turning the show into a kind of Sesame Street kind of humor kind of thing. And yeah, so that may not be very necessary. And I saw somebody asking how I got the man's number. If you were here in the studio, you would realize the amount of veils that had to be pierced to get that number. But Happy got his number. He said he has a press release to do. I do agree with the information so far. I do not agree that bringing resources from Trinidad is the solution. When we talk in Tobago's autonomy and Tobago's development, and so I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't agree that the legitimate taxi operators on the port are hassling the passengers from the cruise ship. I don't agree with that either, because, and that is why I use the term legitimate operators on the port. I don't agree that they're hassling the passengers. Having said that, I want to speak to the taxi operators now. Guys, but you know, if anybody, no attempt, like I real tempted, but no, I'm not calling no Liz Williams. I real tempted, but that is not, oh, no, sorry, I will call, oh, sorry about that. That's what the same thing what we did before there, yeah. I think it's this one. Yeah.
Hey, hello.
Mr. Williams, how are you? Welcome to Vox Populi. You're live on air with us.
Thank you, man. How are you going?
I am very good, thank you. Very, very good indeed. I spoke to Mr. Cavallo earlier on. I read Liz Williams' news article in the Daily Express. And of course, now we're seeking the view or the side on this matter from the maxi taxi operators. Mr. Navarro in his conversation with us.
Cavallo.
Oh, it's Cavallo. Okay, thank you very much. I'll remember it now. Thank you. Eh? Hello?
No, I'm hearing a voice. I'm not sure.
Oh no, yeah. So it's Cavallo.
Yes, Cavallo.
Oh yeah, you'll forgive me. What they'll say in vernacular in Tobago? Me not godfather. But but humor aside. But after speaking to him, I am satisfied in my mind that one of his angst, well, his angst generally, or his angst principally, is that most of the operators in your association have a religious persuasion on a Saturday. I'm not sure what that means. We pressed him. He avoided the answer. But unless you fall off a coconut tree 10 minutes ago, everybody have an idea what he means. Eh? So, but what is the position of the association, and what is the story the association has to tell about this matter?
All right. Well, I got your call, miss, so I could bring some clarity to it. All right?
Yes.
It's a long story, but we can condense it into one cup and so on. Of course, Saturday is a weekend really challenging for the Taxi Association, the Maxi Taxi Association.
Yes.
In my Max Association, we would have maybe about 8 or 9 Adventists. All right, the other taxi providers will have just about 2, all right. But the point is, Skippy.
Yes.
Adventism did not start last Saturday with the cruise ship.
Yeah.
Adventism started quite a while, and we can go into the doctrinal thing, which they showed us probably that since
6 days shall thou labor, and the 7th day thou shalt rest and keep it holy.
Right, and you cannot go into one, and I listened to the program also.
Okay.
You cannot go equate your business laws, and I'll take your word, your business laws to one religious laws. All right.
Yeah.
You have to respect one religion, whether you be Muslim, Baptist, Pentecostal, and so on, right? Yes, we were affected by the few maxis that were absent on Saturday, but it's nothing new. None of those maxis ever work on a Saturday. But the problem, Skippy, what happened that no groundwork was put into this cruise ship coming. The structure was not put into it in terms of the replacement. And they call a meeting. I'm going to the whole story, but you can stop me when you're ready.
No, you take your time.
Right. They called and I said, the tourism, well, they have represented stakeholders from all different departments. We have the other maxi provider there. We have a member from the tourism division, other stakeholders. They call a meeting Thursday to ask whether we are ready for the cruise ship on Saturday. I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
I mentioned to them that I'm 50% ready, and I give the reason that a few of my maxis are Adventists. Some wasn't inspected. The port, I commend the port for that. They call it inspection. It's Friday, and the maxis go and get inspected. All right. So
just for clarity, so the port has a separate inspection they conduct.
Definitely.
Okay.
For the cruise ship. The cruise ship operation, they provide a separate inspection to check your first aid kit, your fire extinguisher, tire horn, and whatever you know. And that was done, and most of the maxis were inspected. I want to make this quite clear, Skippy, that the papers carried the story that no show Maxi, and that was not true. And I'm asking those who did that damage to retract it and recall it, because there were 20 Maxis out on that day, both from the boat providers, myself, and the other provider. All right, but they were not adequate. It cannot supply the kind of transport for 2,800 tourists. Also, PTSD, who would normally come with a big bus, 10 buses and so on, they were only able to provide 3 buses. So then it was a problem.
Okay, let me see. Just to make sure I understand you. PTSC that have over 1,000 buses was able to provide 3.
Only 3. They might have over 1,000, but they ain't good.
Yeah, they were only able to provide 3.
3 buses.
And your association with how much you said? 9?
My association was able to provide 10 maxis.
10.
Other 10.
Okay.
The other association provide 10 also, so we were equal.
So there were 20 maxis there
20
and 3 PTSC's buses.
And 3 PTSC buses,
So
right?
so to say that there was a no show is not correct.
That's erroneous.
Okay.
It's not correct. And I'm using this medium to call on all the newspaper, all the news media who carry that story that there were no maxi and we were on strike. That is wrong, and they need to retract and correct that. That is not true. All right? Secondly, what was promoted on the media is that Mr. Cavallo owes money and you're on strike. Now, let me make this quite clear.
Yes.
Mr. Cavallo owes money, and I can quote the figure too. Mr. Cavallo owes about, 80,000 and some cents. I got a call from Trinidad today saying that Mr. Cavallo said it was 75,000. Well, I'm not querying that. 75,000.
Yeah.
You know, we have a bill that to
Yes.
80,000, 5,000 different. But the issue, Skippy, was not money. That was not money. The issue was a structure wasn't put in place to accommodate those people.
So
And-
would I be correct if I say the issue was one of capacity then?
Yes.
So on a normal day, if I'm to understand it, on a normal day, the maxis and PTSC buses and they would have been sufficient.
Definitely.
But it was not
Definitely.
sufficient in this instant because
In this instance,
okay.
because of miscommunication or no communication.
Okay.
And I was surprised when I left the meeting before. I told them 50% because of this. I left
Yes.
the meeting before, hoping that committee will have put things in place to accommodate the 2,800, and that it was not done. And you have a maxi operator there from the other side who on the tourism board, who is responsible for transport, who said all his buses were inspected and ready, could not even provide the kind of service and quality or quantity maxi. You know, and that caused the problem. And let me say this though, I would have suggested several years, all the meetings I go, let the THA make those buses available. When I say buses, the division will have buses. You have education, you have sports,
Yes.
you have tourism. And a matter of fact, when I was going for the meeting, I saw 4 tourism buses over there parked up downstairs. Three small ones and 1 large one. You cannot have all these resources, all these buses park up. When you check all the divisions, you might have about 20, and then you have stranded people. So I'm asking the tourism division or the THA to look into this seriously. And the town meeting last night, I'm glad I raised it there with the chief secretary, and now admit that they're going to use those buses as to take up the slack.
Okay.
You know, so there is where we are. All right.
So it's a case like the corn soup woman, accustomed going Sunday school on a Sunday night with 1 pot of corn soup. This night, however, Sunday school triple up, and she just so then she so she 1 cup of corn soup she going with for years was sufficient. Sunday school triple up, and it just so happened that she didn't have enough.
That's right. And then listen, the other point is that we are building,
But would it make logistical sense then to the question I want to ask is that would it make logistical sense to, because of this incident, to create an overkill of buses when you may not need them? Or is it that you simply has not really a plan B, but you have an alternative plan to say, well, okay, when we have this amount of number, this is our game plan. When these are our numbers, we go back to normal operation. Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yes, and what should happen is that we should look at the roster.
Okay.
Cavallo would send the roster or the figures for us a day before, days before. So
no, he said he sent it since October. What are your comments on that?
All right. The cruise ship schedule would have sent to us maybe in October. It could be correct.
Yes.
But in terms of the figures for
okay, got you.
Maybe a day or two before.
Yeah,
so
got you.
Right? Yeah,
got you.
So I say sending this back to drivers. I went on the port and buy my cruise ship schedule for $6 and run off a few and give the guys.
Okay.
Okay? But the tours that normally are sold on the ship.
Okay.
And we will get the figures about a day before or two.
Okay.
The sun is going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so in October, you just know that the Gelton coming on the 19th. But you don't know if the Gelton coming with one person or a million people.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, got you.
And, right? So that's the way we operate. You know what I mean? And then Mr. Cavallo, he said he was calling some of the operators and the tour, the Maximin, and no answer and so on. I didn't get a call from Mr. Cavallo. And probably what Mr. Cavallo should have done, be more actively involved maybe Friday or Thursday to see how many buses are available and so on. Instead of wait until Saturday and you go there and you know that kind of embarrassment.
What are your thoughts on Mr. Cavallo's position that the time have come to bring the maxi resources from Trinidad for this cruise ship operation in Tobago?
No, I listened to him carefully, and that is an indictment on Tobago, on the Tobago Assembly, and an embarrassment. And we're not going to sit down and allow that to happen. How we're going to stop it, I don't know. Number one, if you have to bring maxis can only work on, according to the Maxi Taxi Constitutional Act, you are only permitted to work outside of your area on Saturday, Sunday, and public holidays, right?
Okay.
Legally, he's right on weekends on these days, but morally, he's wrong. All right? The Trinidad Association is not allowed that. I have been in contact with the Trinidad Association, and they are really pissed off with that whole idea, right? And that's an insult, and now when Tobago is trying to look for autonomy to govern their own destiny, to do that, it's an insult and it's going to embarrass the THA, embarrass us and trust. In other words, we are here today with our blue banner, and then you say 25 red band walking and you sit down there watching that. That is wrong. And Mr. Cavallo, that man conscience, what he should have done, Skippy, with a situation like that, still call us, let us meet and still work out the problem. But instead of that, you go on with Liz on the television and so on and try to blast us. You bring it to people in hell, and we have been working there for years. You go on and blast us.
Yeah.
It's good in Trinidad.
How long have you all had this relationship with Mr. Cavallo and his agency?
I came into the tourism thing and meeting there because there were other providers before, like Akam, Cedrica, and a few of them, and all of them bowed for some reason, which I would say now.
Yes.
And Cavallo took over doing all the tours and things, right? 99.9% of the tours have been done. The cruise coming is done by Cavallo before it used to be shared between the other other providers, not providers, other agencies,
you know
yes. And we have been working with him, we have been challenges with him and so on, and we have been working along. Things are always good, but we are working, and not so much for the money, but we are providing a service.
Yes.
And Mr. Cavallo is not very appreciative to what we are doing. You know, but instead of that, you want to push us down. Let us meet and work out the problem, Skipper. We can work out the problem, we can work it out within ourselves, like when we go to the town meeting, and we talk about it, and the chief and then decide to work the problem. We're going to get a meeting and work out the issue. And let me use this medium to echo it again.
Yes.
We need more maxis in Tobago. I sent an application down to the Ministry of Works and Transport, also to the Transport Commissioner, that we need at least 25 more maxis in Tobago. Once they grant us that, is going to ease the pressure and you know, and get the job done.
Yes.
because some of these maxis are aging and old and so on. They have to do school, we have to do tours, we have to do international tours, we have to do group, we have to do the international flights. Sometimes they do school, you have to come back on spot. So the operation honestly cannot be smooth as straight out. They can be involved. The few maxis we have there are involved in all different kind of tours and servicing the whole of Tobago.
I don't know if you have the data, but how much operable maxi taxi for the purpose of the Maxi Taxi Act and so exists on the island of Tobago?
All right. I did a rough count. We don't have, and I'm probably could give you that in the next show. And
yes.
We don't have actually 100 maxis in Tobago.
100.
Yeah, 100. And in Trinidad, the figure is 4,000 plus, I think, close to 5,000.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, and here we have a population of about 65,000, and you have less than 100 maxis. So you know what I mean?
So if all the maxis operate at full flight at the same time, then it's really about 500 people could be transported at any one time.
That's right, along even with the PTSD supplements, you know?
Yes.
So, and there's where we are. So we are asking, and I hope you can use a medium too, not only on this show, to the Ministry of Transport in Trinidad and the Transport Commission, Mr. Clive Clark, to supply us with about at least 25 more maxis that will kind of...
Which raises another issue. So notwithstanding, we have a division of transportation in Tobago under the Act and the schedule and so. You're saying that the permission for additional maxis on the route, the Tobago route or area and so, still requires the Minister of Works and the Transport Commissioner in Trinidad?
Definitely.
Wow.
Who's going to give you here? You have to go to Trinidad.
Wow.
For everything for rights, you have to apply to the Transport Commissioner. You know, and here is where the autonomy comes in, whether you get autonomy, whether you will be able to handle that aspect of it. You know what I mean? And it's really...
So it boils right back. All of this boils right back to Tobago's autonomy.
That's right. That's right.
Would you be opposed to sitting with Mr. Navarro and other stakeholders? Cavallo, sorry, and other stakeholders in this matter next week on the show?
Yes, man. I will sit. You do the virtual?
Yes. No, I will do it here in the studio, or we'll find somewhere a nice, comfortable place where we could go and all of us are all the stakeholders, the THA, your association, Cavallo, and others, and the port and others, and we sit and have a cup of juice. Juice. Yeah, juice. Yeah, and discuss this matter with a view to resolving it for the future. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful idea.
Yeah, I think I would want the show to take that route next week. Yes.
Right, I could work with my secretary.
Yes, please.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I think I welcome that, and then we sit down and we work out the logistics and where we go. But we have some ships next week, and that big ship is coming, I think, next week, Saturday. And we are putting things in place so that embarrassment will
not occur again. All right.
Yeah, because I'm going to meet with the chief and the secretary for tourism. So let's work out the situation to the best of our ability so that will not happen. And we should have more than transport to do the ship when it comes next Saturday, next week Saturday.
Excellent. Right. Mr. Williams, thanks a lot for taking your time out to speak with us here on Vox Populi.
Thank you very much, Skippy. It has been a pleasure. I was waiting for it, and I really enjoyed it. And I believe we got something, right? So God bless you.
I think we got some answers. Thanks for your blessing.
Yes, man, and keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. So, folks, all right. It is now, what time? I don't know what thing there. Right, so it's now 18 minutes past the hour of 20. No, what's stupid how I say it. I remember when I was working with Aisha, Richard, Nori, and them. This same thing used to happen, with the digital time. So I'll say, right, it's now 18 minutes past the hour of 21. And normally we used to we used to have something called a time check that a sponsor used to pay for. So they told me, they say, you know, we lost the, they told me, you know, we lost the time check. I said, why? They say, "God, the people say us be saying stupidness." The people say us be saying stupidness. So, so 21, I really had to get this changed, but I don't know how to do it. So I think 21 is 9 o'clock, yes? Right, that's right. So it's 19 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. So folks, thanks for joining the show. Thanks for listening. My duty is really just to assess the situation, share my view. As I told you, so far I have shared no opinion on the matter, except that I was able to identify we have an issue of capacity. Again, Liz Williams writes something that was wrong. Everybody said, no, I didn't tell she that. I don't know why she said. So if Cavallo and the association agree on one thing, so Liz writes her own thing. They agree on that. That Liz writes her own thing. This thing about Liz article is that, what was it? Sorry, that they cancel it on the gate correctly. And it's not an anti-Liz show. Max sees a no-show. Tobago Toss cancer. The association said that it was never out a no-show. The usual capacity that they attended upon the cruise line when they docked and are berthed in Scarborough, the capacity was just not sufficient. There was some logistical and planning issues because, so notwithstanding Cavallo screaming and ranting and so that he sent the information since last October, the particular and the specificity relative and then to the numbers were like a few, some hours before, 2 days, a day and a half and so before. And so we understand the problem. It's one about capacity. And the capacity can only be resolved with approval from the Minister of Works and the Transport Commissioner. And where they are located, it's certainly not in Roxborough, and it's definitely not in Plymouth. It's in Port of Spain. So this simple issue that we're discussing is really one that goes back to the heart of Tobago's autonomy. Next week I propose, this is my proposal, that unless something really dramatic happens, I propose that we would have on air, we'll have on set as much parties involved in this matter, and we'll have a nice round table discussion with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or some Ovaltine or some juice. Yes, they will have that. And we'll have a discussion on this with a view to going forward with a solution. That's where we have to leave it tonight. Thanks you for joining us. You have been a good audience. My name is Barrington Skippy Thomas, and this is Vox Populi. Until next week, God being our keeper.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the commentators, guest, and host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the policy or the views held by Tobago Updates or this network. Tobago Updates or this network cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.